We're in there. Good evening, guys. This is JD, the mobile trader. I'm here with Trader Mo, and we're here for the market wrap up with JD and Mo. This is a special edition. This is the "What You Gonna Do with That Stimmy" episode of That's My
That's my
Mama.
mama.
So, what you gonna do with that Stimmy episode of That's My Mama?
That's my mama.
That's important, guys. From Coming to America 2 came out, so we're glad everybody came in here tonight.
Yeah,
How's everything going on your end, man?
man, it's been a really good month. I haven't been trading as much because I know March, but been getting some admin work done and research and getting things ready for what we got going on
Word.
and for April. So it's been a good month. Crypto
So
is balling.
crypto making it happen. Word.
Yeah.
Well, man,
How about you?
same old, man. I'm trying to go a little bit longer term focus on a lot of things, but I wanted to
Hmm.
talk about a few things tonight, man. With let's see, with everyone in here, have you ever had your eyes on a particular stock? I want to touch on Peter Lynch's his thought process of every one of us can become our own expert in the market. And you ever had your eye on a stock for whatever reason you didn't buy it? You said, "Hey man, I think I might want this one." You don't buy it. 6 months later or a year later, it's bussing. I just learned that word, bussing. People start saying, my son said bussing, so it's hitting, it's jumping, and then you realize, like, if I had gotten in that stock, and placed $1,000, $500 in there, it would be at this level. We beat ourselves up, and I know everybody in this room has done that, and it's not a coincidence that it happens. It's our instincts. How do you feel about that, Mo? You know that phenomenon where we see something, whether it's because, like, we like a particular company, we say, hey, GI Joe with the Kung Fu grip, Christmas time, blah blah blah. Just the reason that you think a stock's going to go up, but I mean, it's not always tied to what our reasons are. But we look 6 months, a year down the road, and it's done what we were hoping that it would do. You know,
That has
get,
happened so many times. So many times. Yeah, man. And for me it's been interesting because you know, understanding which catalysts are those catalysts that
perfect.
does that and which ones don't. That's what's been interesting to me as an analyst, I guess, and researcher, forecaster. Um, is figuring out which of those events are actually, you know, um, market moving for right now, or market moving for that stock, 3, 6, 9 months. So yeah, definitely have
That
had those situations.
that ties into the next topic, or the next point I wanted to make is, regardless of what stock or the reason, the catalyst that we feel is going to make it happen, we need to establish our time horizon, our investment time horizon, because there's times where, and we've seen it all the time. You get that. Let's say we get the Stimmy 1400, and we put it in Bitcoin, but we put it in Bitcoin in a distribution cycle on where we caught it at the top, and it's going to go down for the next 3 months or whatever. During that process, we'll hear Bitcoin's a scam, or any stock. We'll hear Tesla is losing market share. We'll hear Apple has no products, or we'll hear Facebook is under a congressional blah blah. And you catch the cycle of the downtrend of distribution of the markdown within Wyckoff's different phases, and we
Mhm.
think we haven't established our time horizon. We're like, man, I made the wrong choice. And you get out in 3 weeks because you wanted to put that money in there because everybody said it's going to jump off, and you want to put it in and take it out in a month. Within that month, we're in the throes of the down cycle. But if we wait 6 months, wow, we catch the bottom and catch it back up. You know, not every time, but the probabilities of us are in our favor when we establish a time horizon of saying like, okay, let's let this thesis play out, but I'll risk this amount and I'll get out. So now that everybody has that stimulus check, everyone's itching to put it at work, you know, and now we have to come up before we put it at work. It's time to go step by step the process of before we even put it in there. Are we gonna? Am I going in this sector, this industry? Am I going? Uh, am I going full stock? Am I going options? Am I going warrants? You know, let's map that out. What are your thoughts on the game plan that needs to be established, or how do you feel about that? Not for trading per se, because people jump into it so quickly, but just buying some stock if you wanted to. Any vehicle.
Well, I mean, I think that, the research process should be, I mean, and I've said this before, I mean, it should be part of both. I mean, whether you're trading or, going
Yeah.
long term. So, the more familiar you are with the stock, the better it's gonna make you a short term trader. And definitely the more familiar you are with the stock is gonna make you a better long term trader. But in the sense of long term, I mean, with I mean, a basis of research definitely needs to be done. Some, an idea of the company needs to be had, but also, thinking about you was talking about the different types of investments, where whether you're gonna get an option or if you're gonna get a warrant, or you thinking about something like that long term. Each one of those instruments carries with it its own, level of understanding that needs to be had. So,
Right.
that, I mean, man, the research and the understanding in the beginning is key. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to
Right.
put forward.
And early on when I first started, if I had a certain amount of money, I didn't understand. I'm like, why would I spend money to learn how to do something, and then I get done? I don't have any money to do anything with that. But I didn't realize at that time the knowledge of like the richest man in Babylon, Rich Dad Poor Dad, any of those books, they almost go back to the thing of teach a man to fish, that parable. They also go back to the knowledge of managing money or creating money is more important than having money itself. And they always say, that you take that billionaire or the innovative thinker, you strip him of his riches, and in most cases, and you land him in another country with the bare necessities. I'm not talking about war torn Bosnia or in Rwanda during the. I'm talking about just give somebody a chance to survive. That individual, 9 times out of 10, is going to find a way to create wealth. It might take 5 years, it might take 5 months. You never know. But I think I didn't understand that the knowledge of figuring this thing out was key, and then the emotional. If we
Mhm.
have to detach our emotions from the noise, then we can let the things work because we see it every day, Mo. That I wrote down: avoiding emotional ties to chaos, because we look on the charts every day, and that's emotion, that's chaos, that's there's hope, there's a little boredom, but people are scooping up shares during certain times, and then you get your markup. Uh, how do you deal with fear, uncertainty, and doubt, bro? Because you're in
It's so
crypto
funny.
too, and that comes heavy
Yeah,
in
yeah,
crypto.
yeah. It's funny that you say that, because as you were saying that, looking at the charts, my first thought was that's exactly why I don't day trade. Is because it's too much. Me
Hmm.
personally, my emotions can't handle it. Like I can't do it. And I know that being the intraday trader, I have to sit there and watch the chart or be close to the chart within that day in order to get in. And man, I can't do that. I like to be able to do my research before, set my position, and walk away for a couple days and wait for it to hit my alert. I'm confident enough in my research and my technical, analysis that, if I'm wrong, I'll eat my loss. But my wins will usually in
Outweigh it.
over time, greatly outweigh the losses because, the research and the
Hmm.
technical analysis has been done beforehand. So
Yeah,
how do
man.
I handle that? And that's and especially with crypto. I mean, that's a another beast. But
Hmm.
I found that even with crypto, my strength has been in finding those positions that are about to break out on a more longer term chart, and put my money in that coin and just not looking at it for sometimes a few days, sometimes a few weeks, sometimes a few months. I just cashed out a coin that I had for a few months, but it was like 400%.
Mm.
So you know it
I'm
is
not
what it
mad at
is.
that one, dog. And you know me with our personalities, and I've been fronting. I am that. Are we there yet, Ninja? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Check back. Check. My wife is. She'll let it ride, man. She'll put it in, let it ride. My daughter lets it ride. My son lets it ride. But I'm like, okay. So I I like the intraday charts. I like the daily, but I like to get off in the guts, man. I like to, because that's just my personality. But I will trust my trend and back away because I know my weaknesses. I know my weaknesses, and I think that comes into play with a few things. I want to I want to dig deeper a little bit more for everybody. And this is the segment I was in. It ties into the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And what
Mhm.
happens every few days recently, the Fed's talking about 10-year rate hikes. They keep talking about the bond traders. When the bond traders start getting love on CNBC, and a lot of people talking about the bond 10-year, the yields, blah, blah, blah. And the market is going inverse correlation. Every time the bonds get some love, market sells off. At some point, it's going to digest that in a different way. Can you give us here are the topics a little bit. How growth has outperformed value over this, during the pandemic, and value seems to be making a push. Mr. Economist Mo Jackson, please give us the breakdown cyclical stocks, this and that, and blah blah. Give it to us, man, please, because that's all we're hearing now.
All right. So, in the realm of, the first point in, rate hikes and bonds and
Mm,
those things getting love, what I how I understand it, and how I try to explain it to people is that, we have a market where, it's we can kind of consider it stocks and bonds.
mm,
Well, crypto is making a strong arm in that circle, but we pretty much have stocks and bonds. And if you can think about it, like money um, wants to go, smart money wants to go to the highest return with the least risk. And for a long time, especially with rates being so low, the highest return with the least risk has been stocks. It has
mm,
been a stock market. That's why the stock market has been going up. Well, we've been having recently where these yields are increasing, meaning that the returns that bonds get are increasing, which makes bonds more attractive than these because if you think about a bond, what a bond is, it's the supposed to be most or not most, least riskiest investment next to treasuries. Like bonds are paid off first. When you have a when a corporation has to pay, they're going to pay the debts first before they pay out corporate profits to stockholders. So bonds are first in line. They're usually considered more I'm sorry, less risky than stocks. So when you have less risky investments now available for relatively the same returns as some of these stocks, because these yields are rising, funds start to move. So in a sense, like I guess in the economic sense, like it's showing that there is a concern. Well, to me, there's a concern of the valuations of stocks that um, in the both near term and the long term, um, you know there could be movement to less risky avenues than the stock market. And man, inflation is one place that or one thing that investors are starting to, I guess, be concerned about. So higher prices. Um, you want your investments in something safe and something that can return. So that just kind of gives an idea of what bonds are going through. But as far as growth versus value, if I could share my screen, I actually can pull
Yeah, man. Please do.
something up. Let me do this. Yeah, we can actually see that on the chart. If I pull up my trusty Koifin here,
So
um,
overvalued.
we can see this is actually one of the screens. If we could look over to the right, one of the screens that I have up now shows the different factors that uh, affect stock prices, and this is broken down by the momentum factor, the growth factor, small versus large cap factor, high volatility, low volatility, high dividend yield, and this kind of breaks down by factor where funds have been flowing, and I usually check it by the month and by the quarter, and we can see up through this month, there's been a lot of funds flowing into small cap and mid cap value stocks and large cap value stocks. This has been the largest returning asset this
Are we gonna hit on this
month
during
today.
class, man? During the
Uh,
6 weeks at all?
yeah, but
Any of it?
I ain't showing the stuff I'm gonna show in the class though.
Right, right,
I'm
right.
saving the goodies for the class. But yes,
Okay,
we're
okay.
gonna
Because
go through how to use some of this. But I just wanted to show like this is another tool that kind of gives me an idea of just how to compare different areas of the market to see where strength is, where weakness is, and where possible opportunities may be. And we can see that core and value have definitely over the past quarter been getting a lot more love than growth. So another
right.
place we can see that if I'm able to pull up my graph, I'll pull up the ETFs for both value and growth large cap. Um, IVE is the iShares S&P 500 value ETF
Brother is pulling out
here,
gems right now.
and we can compare it with IVW, which is the S&P 500 growth ETF, and basically kind of look at it, you know, mark by mark. And they, it's not um strange to see them both, both going up. I mean, the market's been going up together, but it is interesting to see here the growth ETF has been falling
Yeah.
since is this 1 year daily. So yeah, it's been falling since February, um and still on a downtrend, while value has been keeping this solid uptrend. So they're starting to converge. We'll see how they continue to converge, but this on the chart definitely shows that um you know the value is starting to outplay growth now.
Hey
And
Mo,
so yeah,
answer this question from Marsha. Well,
please.
Marsha said the stock market is overvalued. I know what I think about value. I feel value is whatever people are willing to pay for what XYZ. But I mean, she has a point on certain topics, but I think it depends on the sector in my eyes.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts, man? This is your
What I
field.
just want to make sure I address the exact question. Um, oh, the stock market is overvalued. Okay, so that's actually exactly what I was going to get into. When we talk about growth and value, and when the market talks about overvalued and is it valued, A lot of these have to do with comparable analysis and using comparables, and what those are like the price earnings or the price book value, or
Price of sales,
EV, price of sales. That's another one. EV to EBIT.
EBITDA.
Well, EBIT is another one. It and the different investors use different multiples for different reasons, but the most, I guess, common, one is the price earnings ratio. And when the price earning ratio is relatively high than what is considered normal, then they would consider, stocks, or if they're talking about the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones, that it is overvalued. So in the sense of what, Miss Marcia is talking about, the, the market in a sense is overvalued, meaning that a great deal of stocks have very high PE ratios, meaning that their prices of the stock is a lot higher than what the earnings suggest it should be. It's putting a lot of a lot of future value on the company. And so and those are largely attributed to growth stocks. Growth stocks normally will have higher PE values. They're growth stocks. They are expected to have larger futures. Not larger futures, but better futures, better future prospects. So they normally will have higher PE values. When I guess the market or investors, whatever, talk about value stocks, normally what they mean is stocks that are undervalued. Now that is an interesting term, because undervalued means that, and keeping in the same line with this price earnings ratio, or some use the price book value ratio for other reasons. That's another call and topic. But if the price is below what the average is for the price earnings ratio, or the price book value ratio, if that stock price is calculated below that average, then it would be considered undervalued. The caveat there is there are, a lot of stocks that are, or if you kind of research undervalued stocks or whatever, there are a lot that are technically undervalued, and they have a reason to be undervalued because nobody want those stocks. When you look at the Warren Buffett method of smoke cigar butts, I think he talked about them in a few of his books, where he just go and look up the lowest of the low stocks, and try to get a little bit out of them, whatever's left. Like value stocks, like they lower the low for a reason. Like a lot of the value stocks have low values for a reason. So it's on you to kind of figure out, why is the market mispricing this stock? Why is it so undervalued right now? And
Inefficient markets, Charlie Munger, man, with
say that again.
the thought of inefficient markets, like where it is like, why are they valuing this at this level, or why aren't they looking at this particular sector? Like, it, I think it's opinion, but I think our window of opportunity, or our time horizon, because it is key as well, man. Let me move you with this one. Let me
Hmm.
see what your thoughts within this value sector.
Hmm.
Okay, we talked about chaos. We're talking about the Fed rates. We talked about signal, discerning signal from noise. All the noise, like every headline on CNBC, in my opinion, the majority of it is noise. Uh, but the next wave, in my opinion, that people are going to fight over is still data. Data, whether it's data driven, the blockchain is data. The blockchain is pure. It, it's real time data, and it can't be ripped off and stolen and packaged in another way. So the companies that I see that are the data keepers, or the data have caches of data, you know, when we fall into it and look at it, irrespective of price, Amazon has data on everyone, on all of our spending habits. all of our it, they keep track of our baskets. They keep track of our baskets of stocks. They keep track of if I put a particular stock in my basket and pull it out, that doesn't go away. They remember, okay, your spending habits. And it seems like, they said, hey man, they're listening to us. If you click on something on another app, and next thing you know on Facebook, it has an ad for uh, that particular field that you're looking at. So we're thinking like, okay, Facebook has data, Amazon has data, Google has enormous amounts of data. Uh, Tesla has the key data within the EV sector. I want to talk about that. But the key thing with them is they're full self-driving, which you need human data. Every one of their cars has that. So I'm looking at the data collectors. I know we were looking, that was like that was the thing that jumped off our SSR was, I did the big data email on
Mhm.
MongoDB, Splunk,
Yep.
and different things. And then I started thinking like Apple has data for days, Facebook, Google, Tesla, and then to keep going forward with the emotional ties to price action and what's going on, the Robinhood situation came up. And if we just look at it from the surface, oh, they did us wrong. They did this wrong. Citadel, they in there with the man. They're supposed to, democratize, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we got the barriers down. But if you look further, if you look, Robinhood has more users or more members than TD Ameritrade. I think they're behind Fidelity is a thumper, Schwab, but Robinhood is up there. And you know who has more users or more clients or more accounts? Coinbase. Even though Coinbase is they're gonna say it's not decentralized, but the data
It's
that
not.
it's not decentralized, which but I mean, if they come to market and we want to capitalize on the blending of crypto, blockchain, and the equities market, that is one of the potential plays that should be at least we need to do perform due diligence on. Same with Robinhood,
Hmm.
you know,
I agree.
and then we go into uh, uh, what's my Square, with the data. Their data is heavy with so I
Square is a
am
strong company.
I'm thinking PayPal, Square, the fintech that merges because that data of our spending habits, of our potential spending habits that Amazon
Mhm.
already has,
Yep.
anything we're searching for, Google, uh, where am I driving to, Tesla, and I'm gonna lead into that. But we were talking about the Stimmy, what you're gonna do with that Stimmy. Okay, March Madness has hit. March Madness is here. March Madness was not here last year. People had stimmies last year. I don't know if they spent them, whatever, but the thing is, it's 47 million individuals who've received stimulus checks that are uh, projected to spend money in the sport books starting this weekend. 47 million individuals to do that. So any you have the leisure, you have the casinos, but anyone who has a sports book is getting love. DraftKings has been on that is the smoothest upward trend on a daily for me right now. It's it's at that 45-degree-ish angle. It's not going parabolic like it was previously when everybody was excited. It kind of settled in and it's finding a little bit of light stair step. I mean, if I drew a trend line in there starting right in this area, right, November, October of last year, and I could start it down there. If I wanted to tighten it up, I could even tighten it there and just say that that is a smooth trend line, even if it comes back into here. But the thing about DraftKings is they're locked in with the sports books in all the states, but also you can have daily action. And I'm thinking volume may start to come in a little bit more because we have the NCAA tournament. MLB starts up in 2 weeks. That's daily action, daily moves. But you go into the sports books You have to look at the casinos. Not to say these aren't buy, sell, or hold ratings, guys. These are just I'm thinking through some stimulus ideas, and it still needs to come down to your time horizon because you never know of a pullback, a 3-week pullback. You never know if you catch one of these. And AMD loves to bait you in and think you have a nice run during a period, and it goes back into a little trend into a trading range. But it's still higher than it was a year and a half ago. You know, it's up, pull back to a certain level, come up, push up, trend within the trading range. So to still establish your time frame, but companies like you have your casinos, gaming casinos like Penn, they have a sports book, so you can make people will once the brick and mortar side opens up, they'll frequent there, but they've established being able to allow their patrons to gamble on games on sporting events, and we're waiting for the sports side to open up. But there's always that risk reward, whether it be a third wave, whether it be another lockdown. We have to balance that out, but um, I'm seeing a lot of activity. If you see the volume on Penn today, Penn was one of the ones that was added to the S&P. That's going to be added on the 22nd. But today was the last day, basically, for retail traders to get in to make the move because it'll be pre-market. And if we look at Caesars, their charts might not be as well. The chart's nice. Uh, a little bit of money came out at the end, but people were getting, your companies are moving into the S&P. NXPI is one who had a lot of volume coming in at the end of the day. If you see this, like the day before, NXPI is a semiconductor, guys. It's a chip company. So over the period, we have 12 million per day. The day before on Thursday, we had 7 million, and today, 53 million. You know, it, let's see what happens on Monday with that. But the point I'm making, guys, March Madness is here. There might be some short-term spikes in the casinos and DraftKings, but if we look in for a time horizon of 6 months to a year or a year and a half or two, it'll give you time for that thesis to play out. Uh, what are your thoughts on the sports books and the casinos and the gaming sector, Mo, at all? Because I know, uh, and the theme parks with Disney, Six Flags, that entire. Uh,
Yeah, you was getting right into it. I'm big, especially going into the month of April, May, and June. Second quarter. I like the leisure stocks. I like the leisure names. They, I guess, would be considered cyclicals. Yeah. The leisure names. Um, Six Flags is one. Oh, you got it up. Yeah, Six Flags. Dave and Buster's is another one I'm looking at.
that's
That was
what is that?
PLAY.
PLAY.
hmm
Look at the trend, man.
hmm Um, and the cruise lines, CCL and NCLH.
Okay, give me that the cruise lines. How
hmm
far out of of uh of a safety net do you need if you were going in for a stock buy and hold, like you like the cruise lines, say, hey, there might be some setbacks over this time frame. Would you look out more than 6 months, a year and a half for to let that play out if you weren't trading it?
Um, that's hard to say because even long term I'd be trading it.
Right. True.
So, and also because I, I kind
There's
of
a gap right there,
think
Mo.
of and understand seasonalities. So I would take that into consideration as far as what times of the year I would expect to be down, and if I'm willing to have that money sit in that time frame or not.
Opportunity cost,
But
huh?
exactly. So, I'll if it's a long term hold, I'll let it be that. But I still would give myself, some type of time frame. But seasonality and um, you know, how much I'm investing or how much of the account, you know, uh, will this be taken? If it's going to be other opportunities, like all of those are going to play a factor into, how long I initially set out. So,
Had you already looked at? I know you peeped this gap, the top side gap at
hmm
41.65. Okay, I
hmm
figured you had. Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
that's why I like them. They've already cleared that midpoint. That's what I was looking at first. That
That
green
there.
candle, uh,
Yeah.
right in the middle.
Yeah.
So, yep, that one right there. We cleared that high. So,
And
um,
fill that gap with strength
right on up. So,
and oh my
yes,
goodness.
next leg up. Next
33,
leg up.
50. Then you keep charging.
Yep.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So
RCL
I
was
like I like the cruise lines. RCL is one I haven't really looked at, but I'm sure
same.
it's similar.
There's the leg. There's the green candle that it cleared. Another area cleared, and then the gap
Sitting
similar
on
to the
support, nice and strong.
similar to CCL's gap. That
Mm,
one gap area in that time frame was yeah,
look like
that's the
it's a
Rona
flag
waterfall
right
right
now.
before it all happened.
Yep.
Right.
And
Okay.
Norwegian cruise lines look the same way in CLH. So yeah, I like those. I like Six Flags. I like
About
um
the hotels.
I haven't really looked at hotels, to be honest.
Because my thing with that, guys, is with okay, I travel, I stay in Marriott all the time. That's the one I stay in, and I just got back on the road. I was out in Arizona for 2.5 weeks, but
Hmm
on the way out, there was occupancy. I couldn't get into certain spots. They were full. Uh, they were full the entire time. And I think that the big debate about the airlines and the hotels, the airlines,
Airlines too.
the leisure travel is strong again, but the people that are debating on the other side are saying business travel has not come back, and that's the higher margin travel. But the airlines are getting that they're getting support, government support. You know, um, I think Delta, uh, Southwest, shoot, what is it? United, they're all finding ways to hang around. But I think the hotels, that's something an area to research a little bit more. I mean, if we look and see the push up, I don't. I hadn't really dug into it, but I just was thinking
Yeah, I haven't looked at hotels.
when I jumped in there and I was like, I'm staying here for 2 weeks every day. It's the parking lot is full. I can't find a parking space. And I stayed within a group of hotels and there was not a parking space available. On my way home, even in the smaller cities like Midland, Odessa, in Texas, parking lot loaded. I mean, people were double parking. I'm like, are they really loading in like that? So I think the gaming and leisure, your casinos, the, what are these sectors? Are, what falls in the cyclical, Mo? What falls in that cyclical thought process, man? To you,
Um, Not defensive.
right, right.
I'll try to make it easy, not defensive. So, stuff that you are, if you got extra money, you're gonna go spend it on, pretty much. Discretionary, spending. Um,
Got you.
so a lot of those things. And when it comes to um you know thinking about which ones to get into, thinking from a trader or investor's perspective, now it comes into like you know what has the greatest uh position, I guess, to increase his price. So, thinking about what has happened in the market, which areas of the market have the greatest opportunity to, increase. If you just kind of think about society and think about, your city or your area, and what things have kind of been shut down, but when things open up, you know, who is your cousin them talking about going to see Susan? Man, I
I
can't wait
pull
to
up
go
one.
eat at such and such
Here
when it
they
come up.
trying to get to Rick's. They trying to get to Rick's Adult
Hey,
Entertainment.
hey, if Magic City had a
I'm
stock, hey, it would be
they call it
busting
the
right now.
strip coin.
Listen,
It,
listen. So I
I've
mean,
been
like,
making that joke for a minute.
You have, and this stock been going
it
up.
has been going straight
It's
up.
parabolic, and I have not. I'm kicking myself because every time you pull it up, I go joke and giggle, but I have not made a position.
That mug has been just
Man,
running up
it's
because
just been
people are trying to
parabolic.
spend money. Sin City,
Man,
Vegas,
listen.
and
So I mean, if you just kind of think of like, I mean, as an event, and I mean, honestly, when you started the show off talking about Peter Lynch, that's another, I talk a lot about Warren Buffett, and I read Peter Lynch was another one that I studied, pretty well in grad school and afterwards as well. And that's pretty much his approach and how he started the Fidelity Fund, the Magellan Fund at Fidelity. So
right.
was because his wife, had pantyhose, and he noticed everybody else wives had pantyhose, and he wanted to
Two
see what was up
sizes
with that
small.
company. So he just went and see. So it was something that he knew and he was familiar with. So you can take stuff that you're familiar with, things that are around you, and find investment opportunities. Homie Peter Lynch started the reason why there's Fidelity now is pretty much because of his Magellan Fund. So hey.
Hey, ain't nobody catch my two sizes small when you said pantyhose. That's from Good Times, where JJ was in a gang. They said we tighter than pantyhose, two sizes small. I slipped that in there. I think my wife caught it. Hey, shout out to my wife, Luanella, and she
Hey,
probably
Miss
making a little face.
Silly.
But I know somebody caught that, man. I watch Good Times every day. It's
You're sure.
always sad, but anyway, let's keep moving with this. Renisha had a question in the chat.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I want to touch on something. Okay, she says, since you already expected March, this is for you, Mo, to be down, but you also expect people to travel more in the summer for vacation and cruise lines, Six Flags, ETA, etc. Does that mean March is a good time to buy options for that specific area ahead of time? Kind of, just kind of being forward thinking. Look at that smile, man.
Man, because I'm trying not to give away
Yeah, but
proprietary information.
all you got to do is say, yeah, man. Say, yeah.
No. March is historically a volatile month. You can chart it up. Go back to the 1950s, 60s if you want to. Daily, weekly charts. March is historically a volatile month. It's also historically a month to make trades or to enter trades and to enter options
Boy,
before
great job,
a certain
Renisha.
part of the year. But there are other caveats with the summer months and the fall months. But depending on the position and how long you're willing to hold it, you can zigzag through some of those summer months and fall months.
Okay, we're gonna get to the. Let's
Yeah,
get
March
to
is a good month to start looking for entries.
we're going to EV, but before we go there, this is things that I want to talk about right here. Talking about looking into the future, forward thinking, projections. Oftentimes, short-term projections take longer than expected. To say, hey, when you plan something out, like, or your coach tells you, hey, man, I want you to D this dude up, D him up hard, blah blah blah, and when you steal the ball from him, you're gonna go to, and you're thinking like, coach, this sucker's on scholarship too. It's not as easy as you drawing up. Just give me a little bit longer, and then we'll get the momentum going. This dude is on scholarship. Then it says, but then longer term plans tend to, like within innovation, they tend to rob exponentially faster than projected, because innovation can. There's something they talk about when I scout a player. You get a really young dude like out of the Dominican at 16 years old. You see him at 16, come to the States, and people, it used to be cliche, but they say they get better nutrition. The young player from the DR gets gonna be on a better meal plan in most cases. And a lot of times when you get better instruction, consistent meals, because a lot of young players down there are coming from a tougher situation, you see them within 2 years, they made a leap and a jump that you could not project, that a normal player that's born in the States that could eat, different meals every day is on a different game plan. And so, like, when they say, hey, we're about 5 years away from full self-driving, and you say you set your clock for 5 years, and next thing you know, 2.5 years in, they have that thing done. Like, competition can catalyze innovation. a gentleman named Ray Kurzweil says an analysis of the history of technology shows that the technological change is exponential, contrary to the common sense, intuitive, linear view. It says so over 100-year period, we won't uh, experience 100 years of innovation or progress. It will be more like 20,000 years of progress. Like if we take a toaster back to the Middle Ages, they'll fire us up at the stake. They'll kill us because that's witchcraft, that's wizardry. You put some bread in there and pop up and it's toasted, you know. But if we take it back to like Benjamin Franklin, that's not that much of a jump. Like, oh, I was working on something like that in my basement, or so the idea is you know, we tend to overestimate the effect of a technological advancement in the short term. It's like uh, the 3D printing. We weren't ready for it. 3D printing has been out for a minute. People have been trying to put, and
AR, VR.
the been saying that
It
for
still
months.
ain't hit where we expected it to go.
And the
But
next thing
it,
you know, you mentioned that I just saw a ball player. He's at home with his wife. They're in the bubble kind of in baseball, so they can't go outside. So he has on VR goggles, and he's at the house, and he's learning to hit a new pitch. So he's exponentially increasing his ability to train within any environment. So I just think, guys, when if we have ideas, have thoughts, we have to write it out. You have to decide, like, okay, am I earmarking a certain amount of funds for this? The cannabis stocks were hot for a second, but really, there's still one final hurdle. The Schedule C, the federal, it's a federal crime. There's still one final hurdle. Mexico opened its borders, and they're going to allow cannabis. So that's a positive boost or whatever. But we have to just look at it from different things. Mo and I kind of talked a little longer than I want, but let's dig deep into the EV sector. Uh, get, I'm gonna drop a name because I know you're gonna hold back a little bit. This is my thoughts, man. I love Tesla, love it, but we can't forget the doggone the historical traditional stalwarts in the automotive industry. It's not like they don't. It's like, hey, we're not gonna do. No, they're doing EVs too. Ford,
dang.
GM, Volkswagen, and I saw something about Porsche.
Yep.
Not the one
Rolls
in Magic
Royce.
City. I'm talking about Porsche, the car company. I'm talking about that Porsche, man.
Yep.
What are your
It's
thoughts on that?
Man, I'm glad you said that because I've honestly been talking about this for some months now. If anybody has been on several of my calls, even this week, Tuesday, and if it's any DCG members in here on Sunday, um, I'm a big believer in Ford. I mean, just understanding, business. I mean, they have already what these smaller companies are trying to get. The wherewithal to um, put a vehicle on the road. I mean, Ford, GM, Volkswagen, I mean, they've been here for decades. They have, the capital, they have the balance sheet, they have the connections with creditors and they have,
They had the
connections
money
with
to eat up those small
university,
companies if they need to.
and they have the connections with universities to get to top talent as
Good
well.
point.
So like, I mean, all of these small companies, like, yeah, it's cool, but if your college graduate son or daughter came home and said, I'm gonna work at this one versus I got a engineering position with this one working on EVs, like, I mean, I would be more comfortable with a Ford, than Neo, but that's just me. I just believe that the like you said, the stalwarts are the ones nobody's talking about, and are the ones that are eventually especially longer term investors. They're the ones that are gonna reap the benefits of investing in the EV sector. So I'm loving Ford. I'm loving GM. I still think even with Ford and GM, I still think Tesla is El
Yeah.
Jefe. I still think they big kahuna. So you
The
know,
separator. There's
you know.
separators between all of them.
Hmm.
Ford has.
And Volkswagen as well. Yeah.
I love the look of Ford's cars that they're putting out.
Hmm.
That Mustang, because people are going to want
Hmm.
style too,
Hmm. Yep.
uh, practicality, style, family cars, safety. On our screen right now, just what you said. Electric vehicle enthusiasm drives investors to traditional car makers because we can jump in Lee, we can jump in Lordstown, which I shorted. You can jump in Neo, which is I do like Neo. We can jump in all the new shiny ones, but then there's a point where you're thinking, Marsha said that the market's overvalued, but we want to look for value within the chaos. Let me get the screen back on here. Uh, look for value within that chaos. Ford has been mounting a comeback since $5.50, five and a half. Since it broke out of. Okay, guys, this is one of the things that we always we look at chart patterns too, along with the storyline, along with price action, along with the sector. There's a gap right there, but still, this thing broke out of that Rona waterfall and people started to accumulate. And then through this period right here where it was just flat, folks were buying shares, man.
Hmm.
Accumulation, a
Yep.
little markup, a little chill, and it's on a trend right now where it all we need is I mean, even if it has a pullback down to this area,
It's still strong.
it's strong and there's value
Yep.
and it's under 20
It has
bucks.
fundamentals. Yep. I mean, this is a fantastic long-term stock. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
And look at the
They
volume.
would
I mean,
really have to fudge up in order to really mess up with the
125
stock.
million, 90 million. So it's highly liquid. It's a mover. GM is one, but I'll show you guys on the chart. Let's just look at
And they
Ford.
also have investments in they also own a majority share in Rivian as well. I forgot about that.
Ford does,
Yes, they do. Yeah.
and they're looking at and they're making investments in the sector. So you know how somebody, if you find out someone is doing it a little bit better, and they might not have the money to or they're out thinking the competition, but they don't have the money to really go fully deep into that research for it.
Hmm.
We'll bankroll you. We need
Hmm.
30% equity, but we're going to
Hmm.
bankroll. All the big companies can do that. Tesla is strong enough to do that as well.
Yep.
Um, this is what I'm in right now. I'm in a January 21st, 2022 um, call option on Ford. I think I'm in the calls. Let's see, make sure. Yeah. And if we scroll down, it's trading at $3.95. That's 395 bucks. You know, that's still good value. The 78 Delta. But if you go down a little bit further, the $15 call, 82,000 open interest, 47 Delta. And we slide over a little bit, it's 171 bucks on the high end. That, you have 308 days for this theme to play out. Or
Hmm.
you can put something at work with the stock, and live with that, guys, because owning the shares, you can have
That's good
time
as
to
well.
sit tight, let it happen, let it,
You get dividends.
and begin to understand how to dollar cost average and build a position. Building a position is something that we all need to learn how to do. Um,
Mhm.
I
I want
just
to real quick before you continue address one of the questions in the chat. Rochelle asked about the program on the screen. The program that he's using on the screen right now is
oh
Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade. It comes with TD Ameritrade is a brokerage, so when you open a brokerage account, you get access to the Thinkorswim system with the class JD and I are doing. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but we'll show you how you can access this brokerage, or I use a different charting tool that's not associated with a brokerage. So, you can have access to that as well, but we'll definitely, share some tools that you can use, a lot of tools that you can use to get where you need to know.
Well, I tell you this. This is. I want to touch on one more thing
Hmm.
before we slow down.
Hmm.
This is the outside the box problem segment, guys.
Hmm.
People always say, okay, if you want to create a profitable business, come up with the solve a problem. And you start thinking like, okay, man, what happens? Okay, so I need somebody to brush my teeth for me every day. Oh, well, no, that's not relevant. Okay. I wish I had more waves in my head. Okay, no, that's that. But oh, maybe if I get a do rag, you start thinking, guys, what are the problems that are gonna pop up over the next 5, 10, 15 years? One of the ones, y'all put it in chat group and hash it out. What you in the chat bar. Um, Everybody's talking about going to space, going to the space station. They're out there for months at a time. Uh, there's a lot of satellites getting shot up. I mean, Bezos shoots up satellites, Musk shoots up satellites, NASA, everybody, and we're trying to go to Mars, going to the moon. Who's going to dispose of the waste, space waste, recyclables, organic waste out in space? And they've talked about that, but in the lower atmosphere, there's a lot of debris, a lot of satellite debris. I mean, I don't know how to solve this problem, but it is going to be a problem that must be addressed. That's one of the ones that I'm looking at in high frequency talk radio networks. Uh, whether we're going 5G or we talking about when you get out there to the moon, you don't want to just have a playlist of music. You want are we going to be able to? Starlink is something big with Tesla that Musk is doing to where he's going to try to have everyone be able to lock into a Wi-Fi or the blockchain, things like that. The galactic blockchain is something that needs to be addressed too, to where we can access the blockchain from. We don't have to be on Earth. And that might sound crazy, but to me that means it has validity in my opinion. So put something in the chat if you
And
guys have drop your thoughts. I'm gonna
I
put
like
something.
that galactic blockchain. That's possible because all we need is the satellites to create the network. And if we got satellites close to here and then satellites close, or we
Right.
put them out going to each planet that can make that connection. That's entire, man.
The
Listen,
galactic block. I
I'm
put that in my book, boss. It's
I'm
in the
I'm
book.
entirely fascinated with intergalactic travel. I think if it wasn't for the inherent greed of man, we have something on Jupiter and Saturn and be really, really probably past those planets, or way farther along. But I think I definitely, Einstein's proven it's possible. Time travel or space, intergalactic space travel through time. So now I'm highly fascinated in that. But when I think about as far as problems, it's actually funny you bring up blockchain, because that's what I was thinking. Them gas fees, boy, man, Ethereum need to figure out something with them gas fees. Whoever come up with something, I know Polkadot working on it, and Cardano got a blockchain they working on it, but they need to work on them gas fees. But other than that, I think that's pertinent to Ethereum traders. But other than that, though, seriously, with blockchain is management of keys, management of personal keys. I think for especially for continued mass adoption, management of personal keys is something that needs to be simplified. Not necessarily solved, but simplified. And then when you said space in the trash, what immediately came to mind was safety in space. We're talking about sending all of these people to space, and regular folks is or into orbit. What does safety look like? Who's going to create? Well, NASA, I guess, will create safety standards, but like, who's going to create that equipment? What does that look like while in orbit or going into orbit? And who's creating those products? Another thing that I'm looking at even right now is electric vehicle battery storage and charging. Making that easier and more accessible is a problem right now, especially as we have more EVs on the road. Tesla's killing it with their charging stations, but they're located dispersely. How can we, get better charging at home, close to home, and or if I got extra juice, how can I send some to JD in Texas so he could charge his Tesla if he out of power? You know what I mean? So
Hey, that's one
something
of
like
the
that.
things, the grid, we're down here in Texas with the lawsuits. Uh, One thing, I haven't done it myself, but I've watched a lot of videos, and a lot of Tesla owners have the ability, if they have the Tesla power wall, they can take power from their car, leftover power, transfer it to the power wall. Uh, if they have extra, if they were off the grid for a certain amount of time, they get a rebate from from their power company for not using that power. They sell it back to the power company. There's so many ways that are just on the early stages. From the solar side of things, and the solar. If you listen to the solar arrays, uh, when I don't know, spacecraft, anything that goes up into the atmosphere, they always talk about that solar array that opens up,
Mhm.
and using that transfer of energy. It's not one to one, but the solar energy, in phase energy, different companies, the energy companies are going to be, green energy will come. It might be early for it because it's still trying, but these are the thoughts that I want to have in our mind, to where if you kind of chip away at a position over 5 years, you don't have to just say, I'm gonna buy 1,000 shares right now, it's gonna be here by Christmas. No, I'm saying this is something for the children, the grandchildren, uh, our next group. I said the galactic block, I put that in my book, where the young, this really about my daughter and son in the next down the generations down, and the galactic block is the key to connecting crypto into the past and things like that. um, Guys, I don't want to go all night on y'all. Oh,
Because
you
we
touched
could.
about the pain in space. One of the things that the biggest fears that Musk has for trying to go to Mars, catastrophic injury. Of what do you do? There's not a you have a medic, but there's going to be, in the future, for me, they're going to be mobile med stations. You're going to have, it's going to have you're going to have to give your blood. You're going to have to know what you need, your blood type, this and that, your DNA sequencing, to know your predictive medicine of, like, okay, you're you possibility of having this particular autoimmune uh, situation. Let's boost the mineral layout. It's going to be futuristic thought process. Instead of treating the symptom, we're going to, it's going to be some advancements within, and that falls into the biotech sector. Again, we're dealing with the messenger RNA vaccines, trying to come up with that. We are still in the Middle Ages, in my mind, with how we treat cancers and things like that. There's going to be a new wave, a new it's going to be broader thinking, and it's going to have to be for us to try to live out in space, or survive. So
Powered
uh,
by the blockchain.
it has to be. I mean, because I need to know who knows is looking at my info, and that kind of thing,
I
guys.
got privacy written down here too. Yep.
That
Privacy is another one.
that's going to be key, guys. So just think
Yep.
of these things that we're talking. We're recording this. Uh, I want to mention. I put it in the link in the chat bar. We will have a 6 week course that's going to talk about. Won't break it down, because I mean we're just going to
Oh
focus on
man,
how
so
how
you gonna
we.
give
Well, I
me the
mean,
honors, man.
yeah,
Listen,
man.
all right. So listen, man, for real. It's nobody doing what we doing. Y'all could go check, go look up, and then when you don't see nobody, you can come back and sign up before Wednesday, because
Yeah, that's when we're going to get it
we getting
jumping.
started this week. But what we are going to do is we are going to work with you. We are going to basically incubate you. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to sit in the incubator with you while we research what we usually do, what we trade, what we are going to be looking at for Q2 and Q3 of this year. Not only are we going to incubate you, we're going to take you with us and allow you to trade with us. So you get to trade, take the same trades that we trade, or we take the same trades that you trade, however you want to look at it. But you got us to back you up, and we'll keep a Google spreadsheet of
Running
all the
list.
trades that we take, so we can see, our progress, and we can keep you updated, and you'll have access to that, for a good deal of time even after the 6 weeks. So
And
we're
you
going.
and guys, you don't have to take the exact ones. You can say, I
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I like this. Let's look at this, and we'll be a sounding board. That's another thought process of like, hey, look, hey, vet this out. If you're gonna hop in this, uh, you might prepare for the risk level, the volatility, or hey, great idea. Let's see what happens. We're gonna record it it's once a week. We
Yep,
record it, and it's for you to keep. If you miss a class, if you're late,
yep.
you can review it, go back over it, and want you
We'll
to stay in.
also have special times where we'll go live in the market. Would it just be just with you guys if we, are researching or taking trades, making entries? We'll have special times where you guys can join us there as well. So
So
yeah, you get to take the same trades. I'm actually clearing out my research and my trades. I'm giving y'all and my mother crew everything for this month going into April. So for
it's
each
not per
class,
day, Fonseca. It'll be each week. It'll be like
yeah, we do
an
one class each week.
hour session each week. But I mean, we're still going to be available doing different things during the market.
Mhm.
Most
We'll create a separate Telegram as well so that everybody can communicate in a separate Telegram. But how we have it set up, so everyone in one class. Yes, the first 2 weeks may run a little longer because we are also going to, kind of train you guys, I guess, and kind of go through some of the process we go through with researching, so that throughout the next, 4 and 5 weeks, you guys can do some researching and bring things to the table as
Hey,
well,
Linda, there's
so
the
we can do it
link for
together.
the info and all the details and the cost and everything and the time frame. Mo, I think it's guys. It's just going to come down to we're going to take our time, ideas. We're going to lay out, and we might not find a trade right away. It might not. It might be to like, hey, you know what? Let's hold off. Or there might be something to where you guys are looking at. I want to get something long term, and
Hmm.
that comes into that thought process. And we're going to look at we're process building. That's
Yep.
one of the keys, man,
and
because you're
that's
going to
and
have to
that's what it
walk
is,
away.
because it's a process that you can do at any and every time. And in the end of July, when you're, ready to look for some more, you done cashed out of the ones that you that you got, you can go through the same, research process and look through, and
And the first
understand
one,
the fit.
the date. I'm trying to get the first. It's the 20. When we started,
You
Mo.
got your
I'm looking for
calendar
that.
up. The
And, and guys, I put the
25th.
link to the course in the chat bar. So click that link. It's a lot of
Yeah.
answers will come to you right through by clicking that link. Hopefully you see it in there.
We have the
If
first
not,
class scheduled for Thursday the 25th.
and the time is what's our time, Mo? Let's see.
We always 7 p.m., so I'm almost certain your notes say 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and it's right there on the website and the pick.
Hmm.
So March
I
25th,
don't have it
and
up in front of me, so
so the link will put you right there, guys. And I'm trying to find it. I'm sorry, but uh, email me with additional questions. But we'd love to have you. Uh, and I think it's a lot of ideas that are available. I mean, it's not a mandatory class. I think it's not saying that you won't succeed, but it. I really believe that this having a strong support group in position is always a helpful thing. And I won't have to lean on somebody up in Facebook to say, hey, y'all, I told you, yeah, you need to get in this. I told y'all to buy that one, or you say, hey, if I had bought this one at this price and then I'd have $85,000. Well, you know, let's see. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Rochelle,
Yes.
definitely.
And there may be other people in the chat that could probably uh help answer that as well. But yes,
But you have to feel
especially if
comfortable
you are
coming.
yeah, if you're comfortable coming and you're ready to make it happen, being able to review the videos will definitely be able, because you'll be taking the trades with us, and we don't, when it's, you know, it's not like a signal thing, okay, well, just buy Apple. Not like, we're going to be researching, well, this is why we're looking at Apple, this is where Apple is, what's going on with Apple right now, sitting at this price, this is the setup we see, this is likely our entry price, this is likely where we could see, you know, target price being, so we're going to wait until, you know, price gets to this point, and this is where we're going to make the entry. Even if you miss that call, if you're able to get that and take notes on that, you'll be able to catch up.
But there will
fill in the
be,
blanks.
I mean, and we can give you some videos and things to study, to
Supplement.
to basically play catch up, you know,
Hmm.
if you need it, because it's
Hmm.
outside work, outside extra additional information is, you know, that's the only way we can beat the system. I say beat the
Right.
system is
Right.
doing extra studying on
On our own.
on our own,
Right.
you
And we
know,
have
and then,
plenty, man, plenty of resources, videos. I have plenty of books. So yeah, you'll be well taken care
well,
of.
guys, you
Well
know,
taken care of.
the link is in there. Hopefully, I'll put it in there. I'm not sure if anybody saw it, but my email
Yep.
address is in there also if you have any questions.
And
Uh,
I'll put the link to my page is in there now. You can reach out to me, and you know, I have a link where you can create a chat. Uh, well, create a appointment for a call if you'd like. So just check my page and
hey,
reach
Fonsec,
out to me. Reach
hey,
out.
little Fonsec.
Hey, what's going on? We got a young trader in the house.
Yeah. Well, guys,
Train them
uh,
up. That's right.
there you go. That's the email. Just if you have any questions, but thank y'all for coming out. I'm gonna wrap
Yeah, man,
things
this
up
has
on
been
my
fun.
end.
This has been fun.
Had a good
Um,
night, man. I'm gonna stop the recording. Stop the
be
recording.
extra before you stop it. Be extra cautious towards the end of March. You know, we say buy low and sell high, and we also said that March is a good month to buy. So if it's a good month to buy, we must be expecting low. So
Great
I'll
point.
put it
He
there.
dropped that in there on a slide. That was nice. That was some
Just
big one. That's big info right there,
mm,
guys. Because
just a little bit on the end.
you know the big funds, institutional investors positioning is key, and that market. So,
Not
guys,
saying it will. Nothing's 100%, but history often repeats.
hey guys, same link.
Mhm.
I'm most likely. It's time to get the you know, do the mastermind call on Sunday, guys. So I'll post the time frame and let you guys know. But thank y'all for coming out, Mo. Thank you,
Well,
bro.
appreciate you. You know what it is, man. I'm glad to be back in the seat, man.
Yeah, man. I had
It's
a
been a
nice
long
nice
time.
little open window of time. So baseball season's
Yeah,
right on the heels, but let's get this going again, guys. So y'all,
let's
thank y'all
go.
for coming out. I enjoyed
No
it, man.
problem. Thank you, Miss Marsh.